Greenwood, and Charlestown Ranson. We're here when you need us.
We have the tools, we have the talent. It's Miller time.
It's Miller time on Talk Radio WRNR. A look at local sports with the play-by-play voice of local sports, Matt Miller.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome into Miller time on this Tuesday. Along with Matt Crawford, I'm Matt Miller. A chance to look back at a long weekend of sports with the Memorial Day yesterday. Plenty of baseball to talk about. NBA playoffs that we can discuss as well. Game 1 of the NHL Stanley Cup Finals in the book. High school baseball winding down to the state championship round. The semifinals will be this Thursday in AAA, Friday in single and AA, championship games on Saturday. There's still some minor league baseball to talk about. Did I miss anything else?
FedEx Field was named the worst stadium in the NFL.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that for overall experience? Do you know?
It was, I forget what, it was like sportsnews.com or something. I saw it on Chick Hernandez from CSN Washington, or I guess it's CSN Mid-Atlantic now, whatever that, what used to be Comcast Sport or NBC Sports Washington. That's what it is.
Okay.
But he had, he put something on his social media page, and it was the 31 stadiums in the NFL, because the Jets and Giants share one, so there's only 31. And his caption was, Redskins Nation, want to guess where the Redskins ended up. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, I bet you they're at least 26 or 27, but they were named the worst stadium. And I believe that they incorporated experience, energy in the stadium itself. And there's a reason Dan Snyder wants to build a new stadium. I'm a diehard Redskins fan. You know that as well as anybody does. I bleed burgundy and gold. And FedEx is the only stadium I've ever known. So I really have nothing to compare it to, other than, like, I've been to M&T Bank in Baltimore for a couple of the Maryland Navy Crab Bowl games.
All right.
And those stadiums were built within a year of each other. Night and day difference. There shouldn't be that big of a difference between stadiums that were built. I think it's less than a year apart, actually.
All right. What's the difference? When you say night and day difference, views, crowd noise?
Well, the fact that when Jack Kent Cooke put the stadium in and then Dan Snyder took it over, and Dan Snyder said, I can fit more seats in here somehow. And there's, I think, several hundred, maybe close to 1,000 seats that are classified as restricted view.
Okay.
So you can't see from one of the hash marks to the other side of the field.
Have you ever sat in one of those?
No.
Or?
No, I don't know who would pay money to. I mean, people do.
Yeah, right.
Because I've seen people sit up there, but you watch a play that's on the other side of the field from the sideline you're sitting on. If you're sitting on the away side of the field, it's everything from the far hash marks towards the Redskins sideline. And on the concrete pillars, there are flat screen TVs. So to me, you're going to you're paying the tickets are discounted, but you're paying an ungodly amount of money to go watch half the game on a TV screen. So I don't really, other than M&T Bank, I've never been to another NFL game outside of FedEx Field. So I have nothing to really compare it to.
Right.
But I mean, just hearing people compare it to RFK.
That reminds me of going to an Orioles game one time and having tickets where we sat in a mezzanine level, that you had to go through the glass doors and into the air-conditioned bar areas and all of those things. Yes. And, new experience for me. I'm used to just sitting in the cheap seats. And I was just absolutely amazed at the number of people that had paid money to be at a ball game that were sitting at some kind of a bar or a table
or an overstuffed chair somewhere,
basically watching the game on TV and holding conversations or sitting there with a laptop or doing other things. And I just wanted to yell, hey, everybody,
there's a ball game going on.
Do you know it's right
10 feet from you?
Come here. Come outside and you can watch. And I guess to some people, it's not about the game, it's the event. I was there, so to speak. I was at Camden Yards. I was at FedEx Field, even though, to me, the whole idea of being there is being glued to your seat watching the game.
Yeah. And that's why you're going to watch it on TV. The food's cheaper at home.
Yes.
The drinks, whether it's alcoholic, non-alcoholic, or way cheaper at home. The TV's cheaper because you don't have to pay a ticket to watch it. Everything's cheaper. You don't have to pay to park. I don't get that.
Speaking of food, is food included, do you know, in this study?
I'm sure that's part of the fan experience. I mean, it's stadium food.
Right.
I've never had anything. I mean, speaking of Camden Yards, I think they have pretty good food. I mean, you have Boog's Barbecue in the outfield. Right. That's good stuff. They have a lot of crab and like the crab pretzels and stuff that are pretty good. So they have decent food. Nats Park has, for not being, I mean, we've talked about this before. You don't get the baseball environment feel at Nats Park. Mm-hmm. But one of the aspects that contributes to that is because it's it's one of those where you're going for the environment, you're going for the social aspect. But because of that, and because the people at Nats Park know that, the food's really good.
Yes.
I've not had a bad thing at Nats Park.
And we got to sample some good stuff.
Whether it's the Red Porch or the Budweiser porch. It used to be the Red Porch in center field, or whether it's Ben's Chili Bowl in there. Really, any of the food there is really good. So I'm assuming that was contributed into the list.
Well, we will get a little more detail on it, and maybe tomorrow evening talk a little bit more about it.
All right, I got a question for you. We're talking about seats and stuff, and you mentioned the cheap seats. And we got an hour and a half show tonight, so I can bring this up.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, we're going until 6:30 this evening.
And that's when the pregame kicks in for the Orioles and the Nationals.
The Beltway, the Battle of the Beltway. All right, you've been to many sporting events in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You've sat all over the place in those sporting events. Where do you prefer to sit when you're at a sporting event? We'll go with baseball first.
I like to be down the lines somewhere where you've got an opportunity to see a foul ball come your way or something like that. I like the view. I like the angle. I'll tell you a seat that I never really thought I would like, but a year ago went with a group of friends to see the Pirates and the Phillies up in Pittsburgh. And I'd been to PNC Park before. I've sat along the third base line at PNC Park on a brutal, sunny, hot August day and went, wow, great view, but man, is it hot out here. Had a chance to be at a game where we actually sat in the upper deck behind home plate. Our back was against the wall that further above our heads were the guys doing the play-by-play. And I really like that seat a lot, especially that was my only night game at PNC. So to watch the city light up over top of the river and the Clemente Bridge, gorgeous. But last summer, we actually sat down the right field line. I was almost even with the foul pole in the front row of the upper deck. And it was an absolutely great view of everything. And I really went, I'll sit there again.
That's what I was going to, that's my favorite. I've had the ability to sit all over the place at MLB ballparks. And last year, I got my girlfriend and I tickets to go see the Cubs and the Cubs and the Orioles play because the Cubbies were in town. And I got first row in the upper deck, right in left field. And it was the best. I've sat 3 rows behind home plate at Camden Yards.
Mm-hmm.
And those seats are cool for the first inning or two, but the throw wears off. For every time there's a pop fly, you think it's a home run because there's just no depth perception. I mean, It's cool being right behind the play, right next to the guys on deck, but you can't get a good vantage point on anything. A pop fly you can't see because the umpire steps out in the way, and you really can't get a good judge on how deep anything's going. But I agree. I think the upper deck is a really, really good view, especially when you're in the outfield.
All right, since we're on the subject and we still have a few minutes, how about at a football game?
Upper deck in the end zone.
Okay. See, we're in agreement there, too. I've seen one game where we were about a handful of rows up in the upper deck and literally right behind the goalpost and really loved that view. The other times I've gone, it's been about 13, 14 rows up in the upper deck, but literally like the 45-yard line. And while that was a good view, I remember a Stephen Davis run against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as I was obviously there to watch the Bucs. Yeah. It didn't go well. You could watch the hole open and watch him hit it and know immediately he's gone. This is not good as a Tampa fan. And, of course, the stadium erupts. And I like that high view because of how you can see things develop.
Yeah, my family had season tickets for the last 13 years, gave them up this year because of the poor quality of a team the Redskins have put on the field. But my favorite seats we've had upper deck and lower deck seats. And my favorite view was in the end zone, row 3 in the upper deck. Because you got the vantage point. My dad always said this, was you got the vantage point of either the quarterback or the free safety. And you got to watch everything. And like you said, you got to see the holes open up. You got to see the receivers run their routes. I mean, when you're down low, it's cool, but you can't see what the receivers are running their routes. You can't see a hole open up. You can't see really the quarterback has his multiple reads that he does. So you get to watch the entire view of each side of the game.
My first NFL game was the Colts and the Bills at Old Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, and we sat relatively low. Was the lower bowl, would have been behind home plate in a baseball game if the Orioles had been playing. So we're in the end zone, and I was a kid. I couldn't even tell you exactly my age, but I just remember the thing that stuck out to me the most was not only watching a hole open, but how fast it closed. Whereas a kid, I'm watching the handoff and the running back goes to the right and I'm going, oh my, he's going to, ouch,
Gain of 2.
Yeah. And you went, where did that guy come from? And I think that to me is one of the amazing things as well with that view is you get an idea just how fast the game moves.
Absolutely.
We got to take a break. We got a pretty good seat right here. I'll tell you what. We do. And if you want to see exactly what our seat looks like, you can go to YouTube and go to WRNR TV, and you can actually watch us as we talk sports. Stay with us. We've got more Miller Time coming up.
Join us at WVU Medicine Jefferson Medical Center Saturday, June 2nd, 10 to 2 for the 6th annual Community Baby Shower and Diaper Drive. This free educational event is for expecting and new parents to learn about all aspects of pregnancy from birth to baby and beyond. Meet with Jefferson Medical Center experts. Take a tour of the OB unit. Plus, there will be refreshments, door prizes, and ultrasound photos for our pregnant guests. Bring a pack of diapers along for our diaper drive at the Community Baby Shower and Diaper Drive at Jefferson Medical Center in Ransom.
Will Greer to David Sills is a winning combination WVU fans know well.
Greer throwing toward the end zone. Ball caught. Post pattern. Sills. Touchdown. David Sills hauls it in.
The Mountaineers, Talk Radio WRNR, and your business is a dynamic combination like no other. Contact our station. Add your company to the coverage of the great tradition of West Virginia Mountaineer football and basketball. Heard right here on Talk Radio WRNR, the Panhandle Sports radio station.
I'm Steve Weisman with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell released his latest rap song Friday on social media. It's called Target. The 3-minute, 27-second song includes references to the franchise tag, his football conditioning, and 2 suspensions. The Steelers and Bell have until July 16th to work out a long-term deal. Elsewhere, C.J. Anderson has a new home in Carolina, but the expectations remain the same. He rushed for just more than 1,000 yards last year in Denver and told the Charlotte Observer that was just a start. The Panthers resume OTAs on Tuesday. And new Cowboys wideout Alan Hearns told the Star-Telegram that he doesn't feel pressure replacing Dez Bryant. Hearns added that Bryant's absence actually creates a bigger opportunity. The wideout is looking to bounce back after missing 11 games with injuries over the past 2 seasons. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Every prenatal vitamin, every unsipped glass of wine, every plan to protect them after you're gone, listening to doctor's advice, mom's advice, and trying to ignore the internet's advice. Every penny saved for college, every squeeze of sunblock applied against their will.
Every way we look out for those we love is an act of mutuality. We can help with the financial ones. Learn more or find an advisor at massmutual.com.
Napa know-how. Keeping it simple is usually a good thing. And when it comes to rewards programs, keeping it simple is always a good thing. That's why we made the Napa Rewards program effortless. All you need is your phone number to start saving on the parts and tools you need. Then we automatically give you $5 off your next purchase for every 100 you spend. So start saving today with Napa Rewards. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
Hi, this is Rob Mario. I grew up on my Sicilian grandmother's home-baked pizza. If you want home-baked traditional Italian pizza, the way the Italians do it, you want Brothers Pizza. They now bake their pizza pies in a real brick oven, the old Italian country way. You see, that takes the moisture out, gives the pizza a more crispy taste. And Brothers Pizza uses only the finest and freshest ingredients. You can dine in, you can carry out, you can have it delivered. Brothers Pizza, real Italian pizza from a real brick oven. 263-3322. Dine in or delivery done right.
Simply free e-checking from City National Bank. Perfect if you want basic checking with no monthly service fees or balance requirements. Stop by any of our 7 Eastern Panhandle locations or visit us online at bankatcity.com. City National Bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
And we welcome you back into Miller Time on this Tuesday evening. Along with Matt Crawford, I'm Matt Miller. Joining us from the Talk Radio WRNR newsroom is Caleb Falero, our resident NBA expert, since neither Matt nor I are huge NBA guys. Before we get into it, though, I start with Matt, and then Caleb, I will work to you. We were talking about stadium seating. Matt, have you seen an NBA game live and in person?
I've seen multiple NBA games live and in person. I told you, back in the Gilbert Arenas, Caron Butler, Antoine Jamison days.
The bad boys, if you will.
Yeah, it was. I watched a lot of NBA games. My parents' company actually had tickets a couple rows behind the Wizards bench. I have a game-worn Gilbert Arenas jersey from back in the day, back when all the home games, he used to take his jersey off and throw it in the crowd. I actually have one of those with Allen Iverson's blood on it.
So what seat did you like?
And see, for basketball, I think the closer to the floor, the better.
Mm-hmm.
I think basketball is one of those things that the closer you are to the court, the better it is.
And side?
Definitely sideline.
Okay.
Or definitely sideline. Behind the basket, it's hard to, when you're looking through the backboard, trying to figure out whether shots go in or not and looking at the angle. And I like the sideline better.
That's interesting. I think my favorite seat was down at what is now what used to be
Capital One
now
Arena.
An ATM. Yeah, that one. It was baseline. We were probably only about 15 to 20 rows up. And to me, it was just a great view, again, watching how plays developed, watching how guys got the right angles coming up and down the floor.
Well, the NBA, you realize sitting down that low, how big those guys are. College, it's a whole different – college, they're big, but they're not huge. They look like the biggest guy you went to high school with who was on the basketball. The NBA, you get down that low, you can tell how big those guys are.
Saw the Spurs with both Duncan and Robinson. And those guys were on the floor.
Those are short individuals.
Getting stretched out. And the trainer is grabbing a hold of the foot and pushing it down to flex the back muscle, the calf muscle, and then walking the leg forward as the two players were laying side by side on their backs on the floor. And I'm watching this and, kind of going, something doesn't look right. And then my mind finally clicks in. Their legs are as tall as the trainer is standing up. I mean, the trainer literally has their shoe like right under his chin as he helps. And then he helps them to stand up to do the next stretch. And then you realize how much taller those guys are than the trainer.
Well, I remember going to a Wizards-Lakers game when Phil Jackson was still coaching the Lakers. And he had to have his own special bench chair put in because of how long his legs were and how old he was. And that was 10 years ago, and he was still considered old back then, but his seat was a little bit higher than everybody else, and still sitting down, his knees were above a 90-degree angle.
All right, Caleb, your favorite seat at an NBA game?
I've actually never been to an NBA game, but my favorite seat at a college basketball game's right up there with Matt's. It's got to be from the sideline, but I prefer to face the benches, to see their reactions.
Yeah, I like that too, especially at the college level, where the coaches are getting, you've watched countless WVU games, and I've watched countless Maryland games, and both have had coaches in the program history that get pretty fired up on the sideline. So I agree with Caleb with that.
All right, Caleb, let's jump into it. NBA Eastern Conference Final wrapping up over the weekend. The big come from behind for the Cavaliers, who were actually down early against the Celtics, and hand Boston their only home loss of the postseason. Did you see it coming? I didn't. I honestly didn't. And there's still a part of me that wonders if it's not all about LeBron James and getting him to the finals again in the NBA.
I didn't see it coming, but I wasn't surprised. This man has come back from 3-1 lead or 3-1 deficit against the Warriors. I knew, he had it in him, but without, Kevin Love, I just didn't think it was going to happen.
I didn't see it coming. I just honestly didn't, especially when they were down, by like 12 in that second quarter and down at the half. And all right, how about last night? Did you see Golden State getting the win over the Rockets, especially the way the first half played out?
I knew that, that their quarter is the third quarter, and I thought, a 10-point lead, that's a great lead usually, but it's not enough against them. I know that the Rockets hadn't been shooting well the whole game already, and, they just needed to get away from that shooting. There's just the three ball. They lived by the three, and they died by the three.
Because in the NBA, why would you think about going to one of your 6'9" plus big guys down low? That just makes no sense, right?
No, is the guy out there shooting the three.
Okay, I mean, it's looking at the end. I think this is one of the reasons I have a problem with the NBA, or one of the many problems I have. Looking at the beginning of the season, it's one thing to predict who's going to be in the finals 1 year and go, okay, that was a pretty clear favorite. LeBron has been in 8 straight NBA finals now, and the Warriors have been in 4 straight NBA finals right now. People think Tom Brady's getting annoying in the NFL for how many Super Bowls he's been to. A lot of his aren't consistent. You're talking, I saw a thing last night of things that weren't even invented yet. The last time LeBron wasn't in a final. It's like Instagram wasn't invented yet. It was the iPhone 3 was when LeBron wasn't.
Were they tweeting 8 years ago?
Probably not. It was the very beginning of Twitter.
Probably, right. Yeah.
And 4 straight years for the Warriors. It's sad when at the beginning of the season, you can accurately pick with a pretty good percentage of being correct who's going to be in each of the conference finals. I mean, there's got to be some way to put some new, fresh things into the NBA to make it not we know for a fact who's going to be in the conference finals.
What does this do to LeBron James as far as what happens after this year? I mean, if Cleveland finds a way to get by Golden State, which I'll definitely
State.
There's not a chance.
I was going to be lucky if they win a game.
I was going to say they're going to get swept.
Yeah,
swept.
Yeah,
and then LeBron goes to my Rockets, and we get past the.
Is that where you think he's going to go? Is the Rockets?
I hope so. I don't think so, but I think he's going to stay in Cleveland or go to Philly. But
I could see him going to Philly. I don't see him staying in Cleveland.
You see him going to Philly, really?
Think about how dangerous.
Philly picks up Kawhi and LeBron also.
No, Kawhi's got to come to D.C.
Wow. I hadn't even heard or thought of Philly.
Oh, yeah, that's I think the leading contender right now if you're looking at the odds of where he's going to go. I just don't see him staying in Cleveland.
At what point, look, I know D'Antoni's not going to change the overall philosophy. And after the game 1 loss against Golden State, I was so irritated listening to all the sports heads talking about they're going to have to change. They won 60-plus games and have gone this deep into the playoffs doing what they do. But at what point last night, when you're 7 of 44 from beyond the arc, do you start driving to the basket?
I think maybe after consecutive 20 misses, maybe you start doing that. You don't let it get to 27, maybe, at 20. And the pick and roll with Capella, even the drive and kick to Capella was working throughout the game. I don't know why they didn't go back to that. Also, Harden, you could tell he was getting tired. He didn't have his legs in him to make those threes. Eric Gordon needed to do more of the ball handling throughout the game. Or even whenever Harden went to the bench for about 5 minutes there, Joe Johnson looked great handling the ball, but they just didn't go back to that. They just stayed to their three-point shooting, 7 for 44.
I mean, you consider how bad the Rockets shot. To only lose 101-92, right, frankly, is not bad.
They put themselves in a position to win, even how bad they played.
Kevin Durant, 34. Steph Curry, 27 in the win for the Warriors, and we'll do it all over again. Golden State will host Cleveland and LeBron James Thursday, 9 o'clock, or shortly thereafter, they will tip it off for Game 1 of the NBA Finals. And I guess everyone here is saying it all belongs to the Warriors. All right, well, let's go high school baseball. Talk a little that next as we come back after this break. We've got a little news, weather, and NBC Sports Radio update coming up, and then more Miller Time.
CBS News special report. Missouri Republican Governor Eric Greitens has just announced he is going to resign his office as of Friday, June 1st at 5 p.m. He is now speaking to the public.
But I have not broken any laws nor committed any offense worthy of this treatment. I will let the fairness of this process be judged by history. It has been a great honor and a privilege to serve as your governor. Traveling the state, I have talked to many of you who harbor extraordinary anger at this ordeal. And for
once
those
again,
who have
Missouri Republican Governor Eric Greitens, as you've just heard, is going to be resigning. He's been under investigation by state lawmakers for a variety of allegations, including sexual misconduct. CBS News special report on.
Now, with your local forecast, weatherman Bob Kukin.
An approaching warm front keeping cloud cover in our nighttime forecast. The small chance of a shower into the early morning and a low near 67 degrees, so pretty mild to start Wednesday. And then for Wednesday right on through Thursday, warm, more humid, showers and thunder showers likely. Highs in the upper 70s to near 80 both days. Nighttime lows upper 60s. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
We're talking with Joe Ferretti of Hammer, Ferretti, and Schiavone. Joe, how do you hire a personal injury attorney?
Rob, we believe you should look for an attorney who has a good reputation and the results to match. Ask around. We have a history of success representing folks who live here. You'll be convinced that my law firm is the one to handle your personal injury claim. Call Hammer, Ferretti, and Schiavone at 264-8505 for a free review of your case. Or contact us online at hfslawyers.com. At Hammer, Ferretti, and Schiavone, reputation and results matter.
The WVU Medicine Spring Mills office building is now open. This new 3-story, 40,000 square foot facility is conveniently located off Interstate 81, exit 20 at the intersection of US 11 and Campus Drive. The WVU Medicine Spring Mills medical office building features many different offices and services for area residents. It's now home to urgent care, women's imaging center, lab services, and primary care pediatrics. The WVU Medicine Spring Mills office building now open to serve you.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
As we gear up for the NBA Finals, just a couple of days away, a few injury updates. Cavalier forward Kevin Love is in the concussion protocol, listed as questionable. Andre Iguodala also questionable, did go and get a second opinion on his injured left knee today. Dante DiVincenzo, the Villanova sophomore guard or swingman, is staying in the NBA draft. Brandon Marshall, he's signing with the Seahawks, reportedly a value of $2 million if incentives are hit. Noah Syndergaard headed to the DL, strained index finger. Brian McCann, DL with right knee soreness. A full slate of baseball games tonight. Blue Jays and Red Sox. Rick Porcello on the bump for Boston. Mookie Betts out for a third consecutive game. He's dealing with tightness in his left side. I'm Keith Urizari, and this is NBC Sports Radio.
Heroin addiction, overdoses, kids' futures at risk and growing up to become drug abusers. It's a national problem. Prevention can solve it, but where do we start? The Martinsburg Initiative is our police-school-community partnership and model solution to this national problem. It's based on the science of adverse childhood experiences, or ACEs, the traumatic experiences during childhood resulting in serious problems when they grow up. ACEs are caused by abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction, and they really matter. A child with 6 adverse childhood experiences is almost 50 times more likely to become a heroin user as an adult. A positive adult role model spending a few hours a month with a child can make the difference. A child with a mentor is 46% less likely to begin using illegal drugs. 46%. Mentors change lives. We need mentors. Change a life. Be a mentor. Call Project Director Tiffany Hendershot today at 304-267-3510. 304-267-3510.
We welcome you back into Miller Time on this Tuesday evening. Matt Crawford, Matt Miller, Caleb Falero in the newsroom talking a little NBA hoops with us. Kyle just took off, but we do still have Anthony in studio as we have a pair of interns from Shepherd University helping us out through the course of the summer months. We went into the break having talked a little of the NBA, having talked a little of stadiums and seating and going and enjoying games. Let's turn our attention now to the local scene and high school baseball. Matt, we had the chance to wrap up our high school baseball coverage over the end of last week, Thursday into Friday, and Martinsburg rallied to knock off Washington for the regional championship after the Patriots took game one 9-1. The next two games were as wild a games as you ever want to be a part of.
Insane. And not necessarily wild as in exciting as in phenomenally played games. You look at game two, and that was not the prettiest baseball game to watch. I mean, that was a, 2-hour and 40-minute baseball game.
Took a while.
Both pitchers exceeded their limits by the fifth inning with pitch. I mean, it was not a very well-played baseball game on either side.
And recalculate 299 total pitches thrown in that game between both teams and 27 total batters that went to a 3-ball count.
That's too, for a regional final series in which you're only in game two and game one, not a lot of pitchers are being used.
Right.
That's just a scenario that you're going, really? These are the, and again, they are. Looking back at what they did throughout the course of the year, it's really hard to argue that these weren't the best teams out of their respective sections. But looking back, you're going, this is the regional finals? We're looking at game two, and you have 300 pitches being thrown between two teams in a 7-inning baseball game. And you're telling me this is the regional final, but Friday made up for it. Friday was the exciting one.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So Martinsburg wins, let's see, 7-6 to force that decisive championship game. And it was just a back-and-forth affair. Martinsburg would take a quick lead, 1-0, tied at 1. Martinsburg extended the lead to 5-1. Then it got cut to 5-4. Then eventually Washington ties it. Martinsburg answers, 3 runs to go up 8-5, only to see Washington answer with 5 runs to take a 10-8 lead. Martinsburg helped them out with some errors. We had the Dogs with 8 errors committed in what proved to be that championship game. And yet they found ways to get it done as Ashton Stobbs had a couple of big home runs, none bigger than the 2-run home run that tied it in the top of the 7th inning. And Martinsburg goes on for an unbelievable 13-10 victory, and they claim the regional title for the first time since 2009. Very impressive what they were able to do. We caught up earlier today with Martinsburg head coach Aaron Byler and asked him about the excitement of where this team is right now.
You know, it's a great opportunity for, the kids. You know, they've battled all year and they've went through a lot of adversity, and it's just a testament to them and, how hard they play the game and how they do everything the right way. And so I'm just proud of them. I couldn't be more proud of them.
Obviously, you go into a season laying out goals and expectations. Kind of take us through those goals at the beginning of the year and how you've met or exceeded them here at the end of the year.
Yeah, the goal was never even to win a sectional title or a regional title or to make it to Charleston. The goal was kind of just make sure that we were doing the right things as a program every day and just try to continue to get better. And fortunately for us, we kept doing the right things and we got a little better every day. And one thing led to another, and we played pretty well in the sectional. And we battled and. The regional came around, and the kids kind of had that refuse to lose attitude, and wound up working out for us.
You mentioned all the adversity your team had faced earlier, and there was a lot of it throughout the season. How much do you think facing that adversity earlier in the season helped in the playoffs, and especially in that regional?
I think they were kind of prepared for anything, and we talked before. We knew that it was going to be a 21 inning 3-day affair, and I told them before it even started that there was a great possibility that it might even come down to that last at bat. And, it just kind of so happened that it did. And, they were ready for it and they were prepared. And they, to their credit, they didn't get rattled when things really didn't go our way there in the bottom of the 6th inning. And they kept their heads up and they believed that they had 3 outs to get it done. And that's exactly what happened.
When I look at those last 2 games, have you been involved in your coaching or even playing career in 2 games as wild and crazy as the 2 wins to win the regional?
I haven't. You know, my first ever coaching job back in Pennsylvania, my first varsity basketball game coaching, it went to triple overtime. We won on a 3 at the buzzer. But besides that, those last 2 games, they had a little bit of everything. They had a little bit of everything involved in them. And game 3 kind of seemed to be our season. You know, we'd play well, then we play really bad, and then we play well again, and then we had a half-hour break. So, it just kind of seemed to be the way our season went.
All right, let's look ahead now. You've won the regional championship. Now you're one of the last 4 3A schools left in the state. What do you see in Hurricane coming in?
They're good. You know, they're a very good baseball team. Scouting report says they hit the fastball, very well, 1 through 9. They have the Blackwell kid who we expect to see, left-handed, mid-80s with a good curveball. And, even if they don't go with him and they decide to go with Noah Short, he seems to be, just as dominant on the mound, except he's from the right side. Kind of the same deal, mid to upper 80s with a good curveball. And they seem to have a lot of confidence with both those guys on the mound, and as they should.
All right, so what's the mentality? Take us to what is going on in your mind and what you really want to see out of your team. I'm just thinking you weren't supposed to win the section. You did that. You weren't supposed to win the region. You did that. You're probably not supposed to beat Hurricane. So what's on your mind?
Yeah, it's really, I don't even know if we'll talk about it. These guys, they've been so resilient and they kind of believe they can beat anyone. And, I'm just going to let that keep rolling and hope that continues. We've made some adjustments in practice. We've moved the L screen up and we've thrown the ball a little bit harder at them to try and simulate, that mid 80s, velocity, because we don't really see that on a consistent basis. So our focus right now is to make sure that when Thursday rolls around, our bats are, ready to go, whether it be Short or whether it be Blackwell. And the kids kind of embrace that underdog mentality already and kind of us against the world. So I don't think I have to say a whole lot to them as far as that goes. I think they'll be ready, and I know they're really excited about the opportunity.
Let me ask then about travel plans. Take us through this process now to get to Charleston and make sure you're ready to play on Thursday at 4:30.
So we're gonna leave Martinsburg High School tomorrow about 9 o'clock, and we'll stop and get something to eat. And then I made arrangements with Bridgeport Little League Complex in Bridgeport. We're gonna stop there about 1 o'clock tomorrow. We're gonna practice. Then we'll get back on the bus. It's about 2 more hours to Charleston. We'll check into the hotel, get a shower, get cleaned up, and then we'll go have a team dinner. Probably lights out about 10 o'clock. Thursday morning, we'll get up. We'll have a team breakfast. Then probably go for a light lunch, and probably get to the field about 2 o'clock for the 4:30 start. They have some things they'll want to do for the kids before we get going.
Do you get a chance to be on that field at Appalachian Power Park before the game other than just the regular warm-ups?
We get 10 minutes of infield, outfield is the way I understand it.
Are you concerned at all or just really looking forward to playing at a facility like that?
You would like to be on the field, and, you'd like to get a couple more ground balls and a couple more fly balls and a couple reads from the outfield. It's a different environment. And, when I kind of look at this Hurricane team, I think they're going to come out and try to jump on us right away. So I don't want anything to affect, I don't want us to misread a fly ball because we haven't, seen the ball off the bat or to, the infield's kind of quick and the ball scoots through the infield that probably shouldn't. So those things kind of worry me a little bit. Yet we have to make sure that we have a great start. And if we have a good start, you hope you can continue that momentum. So, yeah, I'd be, I'm definitely worried, concerned about everything.
Yeah, that outfield's got to be bigger than any that your outfielders have played on. Does that affect maybe depth, how they play on a regular basis?
It does a little bit. We're fortunate. We kind of hope they hit the ball in the air. We got some guys out there with Mikey Jackson and Kyle Farmer, and whether it be Nicholas Wright or Daryl Popo, we decided to throw in right field. We have a lot of confidence in those guys running down fly balls. So, we're not necessarily, we won't really play much deeper than we would on any other field. We'll just have confidence that they can kind of track it down.
Well, Coach, we wish you all the best. Safe travels. Bring home a championship.
Hey, thanks, guys. We really appreciate it.
There is Martinsburg baseball coach Aaron Byler. He and the Bulldogs take off tomorrow morning, making their way to Charleston, where they will play Thursday at 4:30. Again, these are game broadcasts that are now taken over by Metro News Radio Network out of Morgantown. So we will not have the game broadcast as we have throughout the course of the regular season, but you can catch it on the website, WVMetronews.com. We understand there will be some pretty good video along with audio, so go to WVMetronews.com on Thursday, and you can catch that Martinsburg game. But, of course, keep the radio tuned right here because Matt Crawford and I will be on the air with more Miller Time, and we'll keep tabs on the game as well.
We will. It's exciting for Martinsburg to get there. All the adversity they faced this year and just the rebound from the last couple of years to take this team and go to a state semifinals. Really, I mean, hats off. Aaron Byler, the coach for Martinsburg, will not take any credit for this. The coaching staff will not, but it's got to be something within for a coaching staff to come in, and not all the coaching staff members are new, but when the head guy is new and you can take a team that's been struggling for a couple of years and then in your first season win a sectional title, win a regional title, and go to a state semifinal, that's not bad. It's setting the bar pretty high, but that's not too bad.
Well, and again, 5 seniors have really helped to lead the way for this team, and they've got that good group of underclassmen, and they've got maybe a little of that gritty determination. We were talking with Coach Byler after the interview. I mean, we spoke with him for a lengthy period of time, and I asked him about how that game played out Friday for the championship, as Grant Harmon was the one called on despite not a lot of innings through the regular season, and he had a rough 6th inning. But after Martinsburg regained the lead, Gary Geffert, Gary sat in for Matt as Matt was unable to do the broadcast Friday. We talked about he's the type of kid you want on the mound because he's a gritty, determined type of player. And Coach Byler told us off mic when he was thinking about making a change, Grant Harmon said, no, I want the baseball.
And that's what you want. That's what you want, a guy to come off the field, not be wallowing in self-pity after a bad inning or kind of sulking. You want him to be angry going, I want another chance at this. Give me one more shot, Coach. Yeah, that's the kind of guy you want on your team.
And it worked out because he ended up striking out a pair. He did give up 1 hit, but faced only 4 batters in that 7th inning, closed out the game, and Martinsburg got the win. By the way, last report that we had heard for Xavion Nawaz, the left fielder for Washington, who was injured in that top of the 7th inning with a collision with the center fielder, Spencer DeLauder, that he did have a broken leg. It was a severe break and has had to have surgery. And again, we just keep him in our thoughts and prayers for a full and speedy recovery.
That's not the way you want to go out with your high school career. I mean, you've made it all the way through the season. You're a couple runs away from maybe going to a state championship or a state championship tournament. And just within the last inning, having that happen in the last inning of baseball, you're ever going to play it, that kind of competitive level, that's just an unfortunate way to go out.
Absolutely. Tough break and just a strong season for each of our area teams. It was an up and down type of year, a different type of year where we saw some big innings. We saw some bad defense. We saw a good many balls and walks, but at the same time, we saw some pretty exciting plays, some big key hits. It's been a fun baseball season, and hopefully for our area, still 2 games to go if Martinsburg can get a win against Hurricane and then play in that championship on Saturday. All right, we got to get in our final break of this hour. Hey, don't forget, we're going till 6:30 this evening as we lead up to Washington Nationals pregame as the Nationals are in Baltimore to take on the Orioles. Stay tuned for more Miller Time.
You think back to when your daughter was the tiniest, sweetest, softest, prettiest, most precious little person in your life. She cried and your heart raced. She smiled and you laughed. She said, "Mama," and you cried. "Hi, this is Lori from Bechtel Jewelers. I know she spent a lot of time in your arms, by your side, in your lap. The years have flown, and she outgrew your lap, but she never outgrew your heart. Your girl is graduating now, and a gift she will wear and treasure forever is a heart pendant. Each time she looks at it, she'll know she's always in your heart. Wherever she goes, you'll be together. At Bechtel Jewelers, Route 11 South in Inwood, our heart pendants start at just $99 in sterling silver. You'll find them in gold too. Some have gems, some are sprinkled with diamonds that twinkle like she does. You'll find one that fits her, sort of like the way she used to fit in your lap. At Bechtel Jewelers, Route 11 South in Inwood.
This is Matt Miller, along with my wife, Dale.
As homeowners, we've been through the mortgage process several times, and each time we went to Mark and Cheryl Savitt at the Mortgage Center.
They treat you like family with personal one-on-one service, walking with you through the process from application to settlement.
Plus, low interest rates and closing costs.
The Mortgage Center is on Edwin Miller Boulevard in Martinsburg.
Phone 304-267-9040.
Or online at mortgagefinancing.com. NMLS number 237527, equal housing lender.
Come out and join members of the West Virginia University Mountaineers baseball program as they come to the Eastern Panhandle to host a traveling camp June 13th at Oaksdale Park, home of Martinsburg Little League. This camp will feature fundamental skills in hitting, infield, catching, pitching, and base running. It runs from 5:30 to 9:30 p.m. on Wednesday, June 13th. Cost is $50 per player, and you'll be able to register at wvucamps.com. Again, that's wvucamps.com.
The Honda Memorial Day sales event has brilliant deals on our most popular vehicles, like the Civic, Fit, and Pilot. It's the perfect way to start summer across America. From the Liberty Bell to Hollywood, and even back up to Niagara Falls. So start your summer with the 2018 KBB.com Best Overall Brand during the Honda Memorial Day sales event. Now at your Honda dealer.
Miller Honda South of Winchester, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. www.mymillerhonda.com.
Based on 2018 brand image awards from Kelly Blue Book, visit KBB.com for more information.
We welcome you back into Miller Time, along with Matt Crawford. I'm Matt Miller. About 7.5 minutes to go in this portion of the program. We'll pause for news and weather at the top of the hour, then come right back with more Miller Time. That'll lead us up to 6:30 when we get into Washington Nationals baseball. All right, a week or so ago, has it been just a week that we've added this new feature, or has it been 2 whole weeks?
2 whole weeks.
2 whole weeks. So I totally screwed up.
You did.
After just
you dropped the ball.
I did.
There's no way else to work around that. You dropped the ball.
I did. It was a ground ball right at me, and I totally misplayed it. But coming out of the bottom of the hour,
you Bucknered it.
Hey, he overcame it. I'll overcome it as well. At the bottom of the hour, we're supposed to come back and welcome you in and immediately hit some music and jump into our new segment called Yesterday's Date in Sports History, a fantastic idea that came out of high school baseball when we do a this date in baseball history. And I had a good one, but couldn't use it on the day that we had it, just the way the game played out. And so I decided to go ahead and use it the next day. For whatever reason, it caught Matt Crawford's attention. He laughed at me. We're doing yesterday. Yes. And it became a segment, Yesterday's Date in Sports History. So hit it.
All right. So today, May 29th. Oh, yeah, we're going to go last month in sports history.
No, just yesterday's day.
May 29th is today, so we're looking at May 28th in sports history, events in sports history. The first indoor swimming pool opens in 1742. Goodman's Field in London, England.
Nice. Did they have chlorine back then?
1742 was a little early for an indoor pool, I was thinking.
I'm kind of wondering how dirty that pool was.
But again, whatever. 1941, some local interests. New York Yankees nipped the Washington Senators 6-5 in first night game at Old Griffith Stadium.
Nice.
Back in 1941. 1951, after going 0 for 12 to start his major league career, Willie Mays connects for his first major league home run. He would have a few.
I was going to say, he went on to be pretty good.
Yeah, I believe he was a pretty good baseball player.
0 for his first 12.
0 for his first 12. 1957, NL approves baseball's Brooklyn Dodgers and New York Giants move to the West Coast. It's a pretty big event in sports history. Moving down the line a little bit more, getting closer to today in sports history, or today's year in sports history. NL grants San Diego Padres a franchise. And then the most recent event from yesterday in sports history. In 2006, Barry Bonds hits his 715th career home run, passing Babe Ruth on the MLB all-time home run list. So that is your look at yesterday, May 28th in sports history. Tune in tomorrow, same time, for today's date, which will be yesterday's date tomorrow, in a real Back to the Future type event.
I got all that. I really did. I do believe we still have some video footage of Bonds rubbing his arms down with the cream after hitting that lengthy home run on yesterday's date in, what was that, 2006, you said?
2006, yep.
I believe it was the cream, wasn't that kind of became the big thing for Bonds?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the steroid era of baseball. Speaking of baseball, let's go minor leagues quickly. As the Hagerstown Suns dropped a pair yesterday, they were suspended on Sunday when the rain and thunderstorms rolled through the area in the late afternoon. So they picked it up in the fourth inning and then played the regularly scheduled game, and Greensboro won them both 8-5 and 6-1. So the Suns are now at 18-32. They host Hickory tonight. 7:05 is the scheduled first pitch as the Suns and the Crawdads will go at it at Municipal Stadium. We'll see how this...
Where are the Crawdads from?
Hickory?
Hickory, okay.
The Hickory Crawdads. They're 17-29. So we'll see if the Suns can maybe take advantage and get a win tonight. That series will continue tomorrow and Thursday as well before the Suns will head back out on the road again. Wednesday's usually our day. We weren't able to talk to Sean Murn until Thursday of last week. We'll see if we can get him on the horn tomorrow, but hopefully we'll be talking a little more Hagerstown Suns baseball coming up on tomorrow's program. Meanwhile, in college baseball news, Shepherd Rams outfielder Brenton Doyle, just a sophomore, has been named to his third All-American team. Already named to the NCBWA, that's baseball writers' first team. Already named to the Division II CCA, that's commissioners something or other, second team. Today, or well, I guess really it was over the course of the holiday weekend, he was named to the ABCA Rawlings first team. Not a bad year for Doyle, the Mountain East Conference Player of the Year. A .415 batting average, setting a school record with 98 hits in 236 at-bats. He had 68 runs batted in and scored 64, had 17 doubles, 4 triples, 14 home runs, and set a school record with 165 total bases.
It's not a bad year.
Not bad at all, as he helped the Rams to a 38-17 record that saw them reach the Atlantic region once again, but fell short in a pair of very close and hard-fought games.
I'm looking forward to next year for Shepherd. I know it just ended, but Shepherd baseball's got the ability next year to be just as dangerous as they were this year, if not more dangerous. I mean, they went through a couple of streaks this year where you're wondering if they were going to lose any time throughout the course of the regular season, but really have a lot to look forward to in, what is it, that 9 months? Right about when the first game starts for the actual season. But I mean, they have a lot of returning guys.
Well, and again, remember, workouts will actually get to start in that first semester, and so they'll be doing some inter squads and things. And it's a team that at the very beginning of the year, remember when we talked with Matt McCarty, they were so concerned going in because of injuries in the pitching department.
Didn't they only have like 6 healthy pitchers when they started the year?
Right. So to have guys step up the way that they did, if they can have the guys that didn't get to play this year because of those injuries come back strong, that's got to make this team that much stronger going into next year, which is going to make it a lot of fun to see how the Rams do in 2019.
And the always dangerous Mountain East.
Well, we'll see. Will it be?
It will be the Mountain East next year.
It still will be. That's another avenue we've got to begin to explore as we reach the near summer months. Are the Rams going to stay in the MEC or go to the PSAC? More on that on a future Miller Time.
Here's your local news from Talk Radio WRNR. It'll cost more to go to West Virginia University the next academic year. Tuition for 2018-19 going up by 5.7%. So for in-state undergrads, it'll be just over $4,400 per semester. Those from out of state will pay just over $12,400 each semester. Those living in rooms on campus will pay about $100 more for that privilege. Police say a crash early Monday morning on West Virginia 9 near Cherry Run Road was the result of a DUI. A car went into a utility pole, causing some power outages in the area. 42-year-old Brandy Collier's been arrested. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Department was awarded the top enforcing office in the state at Governor Jim Justice's Highway Safety Conference last week. Last year, the Sheriff's Office arrested just under 300 impaired drivers. 5 Jefferson County deputies were also recognized during the conference as being among the top 52 law enforcement officers in the state. I'm Adam Boardman, Talk Radio WRNR News.
Now, with your local forecast, weatherman Bob Kukin.
An approaching warm front keeping cloud cover in our nighttime forecast. The small chance of a shower into the early morning and a low near 67 degrees, so pretty mild to start Wednesday. And then for Wednesday right on through Thursday, warm, more humid, showers and thunder showers likely. Highs in the upper 70s to near 80 both days. Nighttime lows upper 60s. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
Why Apple Valley Chevrolet Toyota in Martinsburg? Because we're a name you can trust. And you can trust that you'll always find a large selection of over 400 new Chevrolets and a wide selection of new Toyotas at unbeatable prices. How unbeatable? Well, we will not be beat on any deal on any new Chevrolet or Toyota. That's right. You will not find a lower price, guaranteed. From Chevy Cruzes, Malibus, Impalas, Equinox, Suburban, Silverados, to Toyota Yaris, Corollas, Camrys, Avalons, and more. No one beats an Apple Valley Chevrolet Toyota deal. And remember to check your mailbox for this month's specials and great savings. Simply put, if you're in the market or will soon be in the market for a new or newer vehicle, check out all that Apple Valley Chevrolet Toyota has to offer. We're Apple Valley Chevrolet Toyota in Martinsburg, or online at applevalleychevy.com. That's applevalleychevy.com. Apple Valley Chevrolet Toyota, the name you can trust.
For all the latest in sports, keep it tuned to Talk Radio WRNR. The Dogs are now 8-7. They're at 12-4. Jefferson tonight. Martinsburg coach Josh Matheny.
We want them to develop, each and every day.
We've got 9 award-winning sportscasts each weekday, 5 in the mornings from 6 to 8:30 a.m. and 4 each afternoon, 2 during Noon News Magazine and 2 during Live at 5. Get your sports straight from the source on FM 106.5 and AM 740.
We have the tools. We have the talent. It's Miller time.
It's Miller time on Talk Radio WRNR. A look at local sports with the play-by-play voice of local sports, Matt Miller.
Welcome back into Miller time. Along with Matt Crawford, I'm Matt Miller. We continue until 6:30 this evening as we get ready for Washington Nationals baseball. They are in Baltimore to take on the Orioles, and we'll talk about that coming up here in just a bit. First, we wrap up some college baseball. We were talking about that going into the break at the top of the hour, mentioning Brenton Doyle of the Shepherd University Rams. Let's close out the WVU baseball season as they fell over the weekend on Saturday at the Big 12 tournament, 7-3 against TCU. West Virginia actually only out-hit by TCU by 1, 10-9, but just couldn't bring in the runs that they needed. And according to Randy Mays, head coach, the issue they've had all year got him in this one, and that's walks and what he calls crooked numbers as they gave up all 7 runs in 1 inning.
Which is a pretty good game playing a caliber team like TCU. TCU historically is one of the better college baseball programs in the country. So I'm not up there on what they did this year, but I know over the course of the last 5 to 10 years, TCU's been one of the top programs in the country. So that was almost a big win for the Mountaineers.
Well, and Coach Mazie says in an article on WVU Sports that I'm looking at right now that, this team continues to come to the Big 12 tournament and show everyone there that they can compete at this level. And if they play their best, they can beat any of the teams. Listen to some of these numbers. West Virginia wraps up this season 29-27. I know a disappointment because they had a pretty good group coming back from a team that went to the NCAA tournament last year. But WVU is now 10-10 all time at the Big 12 championship, 7-5 in the last 3 years, and they've advanced to the Big 12 semifinals 3 consecutive seasons, and that makes them one of only 2 teams to achieve that feat over these last 3 years. So you look at that and say this WVU program doing very nicely in a very tough baseball conference in the Big 12.
Yeah, the Big 12's tough. I mean, you look at any baseball conference that the majority of the teams are in the south of the Midwest where you're going to have warmer weather earlier, because that's what you look at college baseball, and that's where all the power teams are.
Mm-hmm.
You look at TCU, you look at Florida, you look at Georgia, you look at Florida State. I mean, Texas, TCU. Those are all schools that have the ability to be outside a lot more. So that's a big advantage when it comes to college baseball. So for West Virginia, who it was snowing and raining here till
March
yesterday.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive. They can have the output and have the results that they're getting in a tough conference.
Absolutely. All right, let's turn over. Let's go there you go. Thank you very much. The NHL. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals last night. After a little bit of a delay for both teams, chance to rest, of course.
And a delay to start.
To start?
The game. The Broadway theater performance that goes on before each Golden Knights game.
It's Vegas, baby.
Puck didn't drop till 8:30.
Well, you got to get the show before the show.
You don't. I'm turning the game on because I'm pumped the Capitals are in the Stanley Cup for the first time in 20 years, and I got to sit through something that I would never pay money to go see. It was a theatric performance.
Money. You were watching on TV.
I wanted them to introduce the teams. I wanted the puck to drop, and I wanted to watch the Capitals and Knights play hockey. But no, I had to watch 25 minutes of some weird theatric performance.
The Golden Knight slaying teams along the way, waiting to get to the Capitals.
It's sports. Theater and sports should not collide.
It does in the NFL. Right? When you go to the Super Bowl and you get all of the...
That's a halftime show.
Yeah, but they do all the pregame stuff, though.
Yeah, but that's not...
Who's going to sing the anthem in a concert before and everything?
Yeah, but the concert before is usually outside the venue. It doesn't have any impact on... When they say the game is starting for the Super Bowl, it starts. It's always a weird time, like 6:37 or something, but it starts. And the halftime show is regimented. You're going to get a 20-minute halftime show, and you know what you're expecting. I didn't want to watch 15 or 20 minutes of Knights fighting each other last night before a hockey game. I wanted to watch Tom Wilson fight people during the hockey game.
Which he almost did.
He did.
So we'll get to that here during this segment. I don't know. I'm with you. I have to go back and look it up and see if somebody posted it on YouTube so I can actually watch.
I'm sure they did. They do it for every game.
Right. So I would like to go back and look at it and see whether I would agree with you on the theatrics or not. But I'm typically in the same ballpark that you are. It's all about the sporting event to me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not bothered about who's performing at the halftime of the Super Bowl. I don't care. You know what I want? I want a good marching band. I want one of the, you want to excite me at an NFL halftime for the Super Bowl? Get 2 of your drum corps and do one of those drum offs at midfield. That to me is exciting.
Do a sporting related event.
There you go.
Marching bands are part of the event.
Boom. Give it to, but yeah, I don't need.
I didn't need a theatrical.
Jackson, you know, wardrobe malfunctions and old rock stars still trying to resurrect a career
who aren't really singing because it's all pre-recorded stuff anyway. Because there's no way they're running up and down a stage like that and aren't winded.
The night continued though under that same theme as the Golden Knights slayed their next opponent.
They didn't slay. Easy with the wording.
I figured I could get him going.
Yeah,
What'd you think?
I thought it was a really good hockey game. I thought there was mistakes made on both sides. I thought both sides had fixable mistakes. I thought the Capitals played some sloppy defense, which could have just been slow legs. Again, not seeing a team. I don't necessarily want to call yesterday a warm-up game for both teams, but in certain instances, it's what it was. A lot of back-and-forth hockey. I saw some good things from the Capitals. I saw some bad things from the Capitals. I saw some good things from the Knights. I saw some bad things from the Knights. It was a good back and forth hockey game that even though the Caps lost, and usually when the Caps lose in the playoffs, you've heard me over the last month and a half. I'm down and I'm going, all right. But last night, I have hope for the rest of this series. I saw a lot of positive things.
All right, before we get into some of the highlights, let's go to the head coaches because you mentioned maybe slow getting their legs underneath of them, that sort of thing. Both head coaches commented about that. I'll let you choose. You hear Barry Trotz first?
Yeah, let's go with the local coach. Let's start with Barry Trotz.
You can't expect the ice to be fantastic at any time at this time of year, especially in the markets that we are. It's just part of the way you have to play. So you have to adjust your game. You have to realize what you can do and what you can't do. So there was times early I thought we didn't buy into that, and other times I thought we bought into it, and we had our success when we bought in.
And that's what I saw. I saw times where they look like the Capitals that I've seen throughout the playoffs, and there's times where you're looking at John Carlson, who played an amazing offensive game for a defenseman last night, but also there's a couple defensive plays you're going, come on, John, you're our premier defender on the team. You got to make that play. You got to be in a position to make that play. So it was exactly what Trotz said. It was a lot of, you saw good things, but you also saw some bad things.
Well, and what one coach says, the other kind of echoes as we hear from, let me see if I get this right. Is it Gerard Gallant?
That is Gallant.
Gallant. See, I never
There's an N in there.
There is an N. You
got the first name right.
So I got that part. So let's hear from him, his take on game one.
I'm sure Barry's not too happy with that game, and I'm not overly happy with that game. But the bottom line was we won the game, so we're going to be a lot happier than there. And it was a bit of a sloppy game, and two teams feeling each other out. And I'm sure the next game can be a better game.
There you go. So both head coaches pretty much with the same assessment. Some good, some bad. Now we work on the bad, trying to improve on the good, and head into game two, which will be tomorrow night.
It was a completely different look of a hockey game than the Capitals had played all postseason. I mean, a 5 or a 6-4. The sixth goal for the Knights was an empty netter at the very end. So realistically, a 5-4 hockey game that it was a lot of high scoring back and forth, and it wasn't. I mean, it was a physical game, and really one play in particular, if you're looking at it, which we'll get into here real quick next. But it really wasn't the back and forth, guys flying all over the ice, hitting each other game last night. It was more of a offensive-based hockey game.
Well, let's hear two goals. Brett Conley tied it at 1 after Vegas took the early lead, and then Nick Backstrom put the Caps ahead.
Caps and the offensive end down low to Burakovsky. Out of the left corner, quickly to Kempney. His shot deflecting, they score! A deflection by Connolly on a Michael Kempney shot. And Washington ties it up here in Vegas. 5:19 to go in the first. 1-1 in game one.
So Conley ties it, then Backstrom's goal makes it 2-1. It was then, let's see, Vegas going in front before John Carlson ties things at 3. And then Tom Wilson has the final goal for the Caps that gave them the lead.
And a shot from Ovechkin for the high slot. He scores! In past Fleury and swimming across the goal line. 18:50 to go. Ovechkin makes it 4-3. Washington.
So that made it a Capitals lead that they could not sustain as Vegas ends up tying it and then taking the 5-4 lead, then getting the empty netter, going on for the 6-4 final. Tom Wilson with that deflection picks up a goal. Also had a huge hit in the game that led to some controversy as to whether it was a hit that even should have been laid. Your thoughts?
I thought it was a good hit. I thought, in the words of Barry Trotz, who he's used this term throughout the playoffs, Rob Mario likes to keep referring to this moment in the press conference, but I thought it was a good hockey play. I thought in real time, obviously, if you slow anything down in sports, if you slow a replay down for a catch in football, the ball moves. Same thing with you're looking at a play real time in hockey as opposed to looking at it in slow motion and pinpointing that specific play. Because when you slow it down, it looks like it took a lot longer to to develop than it may have in full time. It's still, while it may have been a little bit, a tad bit of a late hit by Tom Wilson, as viewed by some, it's still, when you're looking at it in real time, is a split second. So I don't think it was a dirty hit. I think it was just a hit that was probably within a half second or so of being considered a late hit. And because it's Tom Wilson, everybody's on the eye for it. If it had been Nick Backstrom laying that hit out, it would have been, oh, that's a good hit. But because it's Tom Wilson and everybody knows his history of giving good quality hockey hits, and I think that just draws a target on his back.
As I saw the video, it did. I mean, there wasn't anything overly vicious about the hit other than the fact that it was in open ice and both guys are, moving at a pretty good pace. But, he didn't hit him from behind. He hit him shoulder on shoulder. It wasn't a headshot in any way, but it was certainly one that sent the Vegas player to the ice. I mean, it was a devastating type of blow. Well, let's first hear from Tom Wilson and his thoughts on the hit.
It's my job to bring that energy and that physicality. And, he came right after he got up, he said, good hit. So, it's the Stanley Cup final out there. There's going to be hits. It looked pretty good to me.
All right, now let's hear Gallant one more time as the head coach for Vegas and see what he thought of the hit.
That's a tough call. I mean, when I seen it live, I didn't see much of it. But then when you watch it in replay and you see how late he hits Marchessault, for me, it should have been a major penalty. But again, when you're watching it live, you don't see that. But when you see it in the video, he hit him real late and real hard, and he went after him pretty good.
Again, you're watching it live. When you're watching the replay, you have people going, "Hey, look at this hit. We think he hits him late." So that idea is already in your head. You have every news source in the country going, Tom Wilson should be in a cage somewhere because he's an animal with Rob Mario signing the petition. No, I'm sorry. You're watching a sporting event real time. That's how you should make the call if it's a penalty or not.
And that's the thing. Again, replay, slowing it down gives you a little different perspective that when you've got to make that call on the fly, and on the fly, it wasn't a penalty.
In the replay, you see a referee standing right next to him. So obviously it wasn't that vicious of a hit. If there's a referee, which the NHL referees are awful, but if there's something that close and it could be that blatant of an interference call, then I think it probably would have been made.
We'll see if it helps to add to a little more physicality. You mentioned this game a little more offensive, maybe the next game a little more physical and defensive. We will find out as Game 2 in Las Vegas will be tomorrow night. Again, they drop the puck sometime after the circus at 8:30 or so. The pregame will begin at 7:45 right here with John Walton. If you could see Matt's look, go to WRNR TV and you can see it. It's on YouTube. It's YouTube and then WRNR TV. The look he was giving me.
Just drop the puck and play hockey. Just drop the puck.
Well, we're going to talk a little baseball coming up next. And one of his favorite players and teams, but maybe a little cheap shot on the baseball diamond. He defended Tom Wilson. Will he defend Anthony Rizzo? We'll find out next on Miller Time.
Husband was killed by a drunk driver.
I'm all alone now. How can I raise 3 children?
My dad isn't here to coach me in baseball.
My dad was going to walk me down the aisle.
Drinking and driving takes a heavy toll beyond the roadways. Make a plan. Call a friend, parent, Uber, or cab. Stay overnight. Don't drink and drive.
Brought to you by Herbert Hoover High School, West Virginia Alcohol Beverage Control, and ABCA, State Farm, West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station.
The Wellness Center at Berkeley Medical Center introduces a healthy way of life. It's not just another diet, but a weight management program developed by the Wellness Center that includes metabolic testing, a simple 10-minute breathing test that determines how many calories your body actually needs, followed by working one-on-one with a health coach to develop a personalized mix of exercise and nutrition to tip the scales in your favor towards successful weight loss. A lifetime of good health awaits at the Wellness Center. For more info, call 304-264-1232.
We're here at the Trane Heating and Air Conditioning Testing Facility to see how unstoppable their products really are.
Inside this climate chamber, it's raining incredibly hard on this Trane AC unit. Clearly, it's hard to stop the train.
McRae has served our area for over 80 years. Special financing and rebates up to $1,000 are available now. Go to McRaeWay.com to learn more. McRae and Trane. It's hard to stop a train. Really hard.
Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Possibilities are all around us. We see potential in unexpected places.
And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action in communities all around the world. Together, we can make real change happen. We're Rotary. We are people of action. Get involved at Rotary.org.
Since 1877, Farmers and Mechanics insurance companies have proudly supported our local community. Farmers and Mechanics has the insurance products to meet your needs, including home, auto, farm, dwelling fire, business owners, and umbrella coverage. Please contact your local independent agency for a review of your insurance needs and ask for a policy from the company that knows you best. Farmers and Mechanics insurance companies, just off Edwin Miller Boulevard on Administrative Drive in Martinsburg. FMIWV.com.
Will Greer to David Sills is a winning combination WVU fans know well.
Greer throwing toward the end zone. Ball caught. Post pattern. Sills. Touchdown. David Sills hauls it in.
The Mountaineers, Talk Radio WRNR, and your business is a dynamic combination like no other. Contact our station to add your company to the coverage of the great tradition of West Virginia Mountaineer football and basketball. Heard right here on Talk Radio WRNR, the Panhandle Sports radio station.
All right, we've been having some fun on the show the last couple of weeks, just randomly putting songs in that we're not really sure what's going to happen.
Oh, I knew what was.
Well, no, you've had some and I've had some, and we just put them in, and we get this kind of reaction.
I knew what was coming.
See, I didn't. This is Peaches and Herb reunited.
Oh yeah, turn it up a little.
Now this is your area. This seems like 70s, 80s, right?
Welcome back to the Radio Classics. Along with Matt Crawford, I'm Matt Miller.
Playing the sick tunes down.
We'll be opening the love line coming up in just a few minutes. If you're having love issues, give us a call and we'll put you deeper in the hole more than likely. All right, 6:22, just a few minutes left in the program as we get ready for Washington Nationals baseball. Let's talk about it. Nats with a win yesterday over the Baltimore Orioles. 6-0 the final. The Nationals, winners of 6 of their last 7, are now at 30-22 and just a half a game back of Atlanta for the top spot in the NL East. It seems the Nationals have turned that corner.
They have. They're finally starting to put a couple games together and a couple series together. And if they drop a game here and there now, it's not necessarily looking at it going, well, they're going to fall back into the same ways that they struggled starting the season with. I think now you can actually look at a single game they play bad guys. Just one of those nights.
I believe we've got a chance to hear from both head managers, I should say, not head coaches.
Yes, both head managers.
Both head managers. Sorry, man, you threw me all off there with reunited.
Oh, I did not. That was just a brain fart. All right, let's start with Nats manager Dave Martinez on the good outing by his starting pitcher, Gio Gonzalez, yesterday.
He was outstanding. I mean, kept the balls down, 2 strikes. He was really good. I mean, for me, that was the best he's pitched all year.
Anthony Rendon with a 3-run home run that staked the Nats to the early 3-0 lead, and then they added 3 more later in the game for the 6-0 victory. So strong pitching and pretty good offensive day.
Yeah.
And
both sides, and a struggling Orioles team.
There you go. I was going to say the same thing against an Orioles team that's struggling because they're now just 17-37.
Let's hear from Buck Showalter on that struggling team. A quick clip on just how bad they are struggling.
Other pitchers right now, they're really good, and we're not swinging the bats well. It's a bad combination.
There it is.
Good pitching, bad bats usually leads to a lot of losses.
Well, 6-0 the final yesterday. We'll find out how it goes tonight. The pregame at 6:30 and the first pitch 7:05 at Camden Yards. Meanwhile, yesterday, let's quickly look in the division as the Dodgers nipped the Phillies 5-4 and the Mets up into the Braves 8-5. So that means in the NL East, Atlanta at 31-22 is still in first, but the Nationals nipping at their heels a half a game back at 30-22. Philadelphia 1 game back at 29-22, and then the Mets now at 26-25. That has them 4 games back, but the Mets have got to be concerned. They place Noah Syndergaard on the 10-day DL today with a finger injury. So hopefully that's nothing major, and he might miss over 10 days, 2 starts. But that does not bode well for a Mets team that really struggled with injuries last year.
Yeah, that's not where the Mets want to be.
No.
Although the Mets succeeded last year, with the injuries they had last year, they still
not bad.
Finished pretty good, again, for the injuries they had. But not again, you don't want to get on the injury bus yet again.
If they can stay healthy, can this be a 4-team race all throughout the season? If so, it's going to be a fun year.
I think it can. I don't know how long the Phillies stay hot.
Atlanta, too. I mean, you're talking 2 teams that for a while have not been in this position.
Yeah, I don't see either one of those teams. It's very much like the Central. I don't see the Pirates staying as hot as they are all year.
All right, we're running out of time. We only have about 4 minutes left, and we've got to get to the Cubs' 7-0 win over Pittsburgh, pounding out 12 hits, holding the Pirates to just 2. But the big hit was Anthony Rizzo sliding into catcher Elias Diaz on a double play ball. I believe, 7th inning, late in the game. Yep. Bases are loaded, nobody out. Hot smash to the shortstop, playing about mid-range where he could have maybe tried to turn to, but didn't want to give up the run, so he threw to the plate, easily got the out there. Diaz steps out in front of the plate, and as he's finishing the throw and pushing off with that back foot, Rizzo slides right into that back foot, takes down the catcher, throw goes wide of first, out into right field, 2 additional runs score. And Major League Baseball, from what I understand, making a statement earlier today that interference should have been called. The umpires went back and looked at it, and they said no interference. It was under the slide rule policy, and let it stand.
See, that's what I looked at. Not only am I looking at this from a Cubs fan and a huge Anthony Rizzo fan, being my favorite player on the Cubs roster, but to me, it's no different than sliding into second and making a play. I get the catcher isn't used to having that sort of play, and he's not looking directly at Rizzo sliding in. It was off to his left, but I still think it's not that much different than just sliding into second base, spikes up as a runner, as opposed to sliding into home plate, spikes up. Rizzo, while it wasn't a direct slide into home plate, you could tell he moved to his left a little bit. It wasn't drastic, but it was to his left enough that you knew there was going to be contact made.
He's definitely inside the line.
Absolutely, 100%. I'm not arguing that point at all. I just don't see the difference, no matter where it is, in sliding feet first to break up a double play.
All right, listen carefully. The microphone doesn't seem to be directly on Clint Hurdle as the manager for the Pirates, but this was his take after the game.
My position and my question is that at the end of the day, we put a rule in home plate to protect the catchers. And based on the information I got today, in the video I've been able to watch a few different times, it seems like we just put open season tags on the catchers on a forced play in front of home plate. Our catcher, he makes the play just like he's supposed to make it, and he gets wiped out. With a hard baseball slide, I mean, there's potential injury, and I don't see the rule thing means there. If it's open season, now it's open season. Everybody's going to see the play because it's the play you can make on every catcher in his most vulnerable position. He's completely exposed. He's completely out in front of the plate. He has no defense whatsoever. And there's big people that play this game that are fast. And I just think it defeats the purpose of the rule.
See, to me, that's Clint Hurdle almost blaming the Major League front office to not properly adjusting that rule. If you listen to some of the work, he called it a good, hard baseball slide.
He did.
And he said it leaves guys vulnerable. And to me, that more sounded like a plea to the MLB offices to make sure you clarify that rule rather than an angry at Rizzo press conference.
I'm hearing you, and I'm trying to process it in the final 50 seconds that we have before the Nationals pregame gets underway. I hear him to me saying, you've got rules in place to protect the catcher because he is so vulnerable, looking for a throw coming from a fielder somewhere with a runner charging down on him. So you take that collision aspect out that we had taken out back when Buster Posey got drilled at the plate. So now if we're going to protect the catcher in that situation, why are we not going to protect him in this situation when he's still vulnerable?
Again, still a plea with baseball, not with Rizzo.
Yeah, not necessarily, right. I think the question's not the play itself, but should that play continue to happen?
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it for today's Miller Time.
Baseball is back in Washington, D.C.
Crowd getting behind Strasburg. The line, the kick, and the pitch. Swing and a miss. 14 strikeouts. 7 in a row. Unbelievable. And they are saluting their new hero here in D.C. The runner goes. Here's the pitch. Swinging a fly ball left field. Taylor started in, going back, still back on the warning track. Makes the catch. It's a no-hitter. It's a no-hitter for Max Scherzer. Greeted by Wilson Ramos and the Nationals.
So I built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. Sometimes I do the same things over and over. Until one day I found out I had